What is up, everyone? Welcome to Sunday Night Pre-Lock here on RotoGrinders. We're going to be breaking down the Cleveland-Baltimore Showdown slate. I am joined by two people I literally just saw like an hour ago, Dre and that Keith Eister. How are you kids doing over there? We'll start off with you, Keith.
Same as I was a couple hours ago, just bleeding out on these final minutes here of this Green Bay Rams game, but that's all right. We'll make some back on Showdown, right?
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, I have gotten absolutely crushed today on fantasy and sports bet, just destroyed beyond belief. But you know what? It happens. How are you doing over there, Dre? You fare better than us? Anything change in the last hour?
No, besides just trying to be as profitable as I can on the slate. Moving up a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully just end up at least breaking even today.
Yeah. I no chance I'm breaking even today. Absolutely no chance. I could win every one of my bets from. I only have one bet for the late, so I'm just crushed. I'm absolutely crushed tonight. But you know what? It happens. Oh well. We move on. But we got a nice little fun. It should be a fun little game tonight. I think there's a lot of different strategies that we can end up going with. Yeah, it's not too bad. Should we get started off with what do we normally start off with? FanDuel strategy?
Usually we do DK first, just a little bit more.
Freeze?
No, you're fine.
Am I here?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, I think we might have lost Grant there.
I can barely hear you, Devin. It's network bandwidth low. I'll fix that. So go ahead and talk, Keith.
Andre, are you with me still?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, sounds good. So just breaking down DK first for some captains. Looks like we're going to have Lamar pretty heavily owned, probably around the 40% mark at captain. Some of the highest captain ownership that we ever see when we get Lamar on a slate, just because of his massive upside that he has. How are you handling that? Are you trying to be even with the field? Are you looking to be overweight on him? Where are you going with Lamar?
It's tough. I feel like I want to be at the field with him, but after reading the article that came out today, that was done by Alan today, it makes you not want to put that much Lamar in captain. I'm gonna have a few lineups with him in there, and they're saying that he's more positive to have more positive leverage being in the flex position. So just trying to find a way down to get different and use that to my advantage and use that as leverage.
I like that. I agree with your line of thinking. I mean, he's been just inconsistent. I don't know if it's the illness that he's been dealing with or what it is. I have a lot of respect for this Browns defense. So I kind of have this as a low scoring game. It looks like Vegas total around 47. The Ravens are favored by 3, being at home. So, I mean, essentially 2 evenly matched teams here. If you're not going Lamar in the captain, are you looking to some of his pass catchers? You trying to get the running game involved, or who else are you looking at a captain?
Yeah. So with that, I would probably try to target more of the little bit of both, honestly, but mainly I'm gonna go with the running backs. I actually kind of like going to Devontae Freeman a lot in the captain spot. He's one of my favorite captains to target here on the slate. Just for the simple fact that I know he's gonna get a little bit. He's obviously gonna run the ball, but also get a little bit of work in the backfield. With some catches from Lamar Jackson as well. So to me, I could use him in the captain spot and pair him as well with Lamar Jackson in the flex position and get a little bit of everything where either Lamar scores or throws it to him and out of the backfield to catch a touchdown, or Freeman runs it in. I also do like getting Rashad Bateman a lot too. I know we got Marquise Brown coming back, but I think that the ownership now will trend more towards Marquise Brown and going higher on it as far as in the captain spot. So I think using Bateman as leverage, or even Mark Andrews as well, would be to our benefit today to use in the captain spot and pairing it with Lamar Jackson as well.
Yeah, Andrews is somebody that really piqued my interest. I'm with you on the Brown fade. Just he's been dealing with injuries too. He obviously had a great role when he was healthy, and he was looking good there for a couple of weeks. But not without him last week. I mean, Andrews really stepped up. Had a target share up over 27%. And I think I like this game to go under. So I'm going to prioritize touchdowns. And Mark Andrews has a phenomenal red zone role. He's the guy that I like to score. So he's going to be my highest owned captain from the Ravens here for sure. I do like your Bateman call as well. With Sammy Watkins back in the fold, but Bateman still, I mean, obviously Brown was out last week, but I think Rashad Bateman has shown enough to this team. He's a first round pick. I think that he's their guy going forward. I'm not concerned about Sammy Watkins taking anything away from him in this spot. So I agree with you. I like your Bateman call there.
And thanks. I also think this is like just a off the board captain play, but I kind of think like Latavius Murray might have some it could be a significant leverage of a captain, especially if you're saying talking about touchdowns, because when he gets down to that goal line, sometimes they do tend to put him in there to try to get them in there for the touchdowns. If they don't have Freeman out there. So I like using Murray and like maybe one lineup as a if you're running like 150 lineups or a few lineups like that at the captain spot as well.
All right. He did return last week after missing 3 weeks. Looks like he had 12 touches in their last game. He carried the ball 10 times. He saw 2 targets and caught both of them. He was on the field for 35% of the snaps. I think there is definitely room up on his playing time last week. I could see him working in quite a bit more here in the spot. So good call there. How about some of these Browns guys? Team that leans heavily on the run game. Baker Mayfield hasn't had the greatest season. He's obviously dealt with the shoulder injury for a good part of the year. They do get Kareem Hunt back this week. Dearness Johnson filled in very nicely, but we're assuming that Hunt steps right back into his role and kind of splits the work with Chubb there. How does that affect how you want to play Chubb? And are you looking to get Kareem Hunt in any lineups?
Yeah, I was while we were off air for the past hour, I was going back and forth with this, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. It's a tough situation to be in, but I'm gonna definitely have more Nick Chubb, but as far as in the captain spot, but Kareem Hunt makes great leverage because coming off injury. Both those guys though won't be as high on as Lamar Jackson, so I think no matter what it is, it'll still be leverage off of Lamar. So to me, playing either one of those guys is great. But I also don't mind getting to the receivers too, specifically more so just Jarvis Landry, because I know he's going to get a good amount of targets, and we got Higgins. Higgins that is who was out, I believe now. At the
Yep, correct. Higgins is inactive today. Donovan Peoples-Jones is in there, so looks like Peoples-Jones should run as the number 2 here.
Yeah, so with that news coming out like not too long ago, I kind of do like into some Jarvis Landry, more so the passing game, just to see if we can get some leverage and attack them that way, and just to be different from the field.
Guess who's back?
Grant's back.
Your internet rubbed off on mine, Dre.
Sorry about that.
What I miss?
We got into some good captain breakdowns. We did the Ravens side. We were talking about the Browns here. Dre doesn't mind. I think Chubb's a little bit expensive for this spot. Kareem Hunt really cuts into his goal line role. Now Chubb obviously has the big playability. He can get there in many different ways, breaking off a big run or whatever. But I'll probably have more exposure to Hunt than I will to Chubb. And then on the wide receivers, I think I'm going to run quite a bit of Peoples-Jones out there just for his touchdown upside. Landry just doesn't seem to be finding the end zone. I agree with you that Landry can definitely get there on receiving volume, but I do worry about his touchdown upside a little bit. So I'll have plenty of Peoples-Jones in there as well.
Question too then. So with that, you say you think it's going to be a low scoring game, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So how would you? So because since we know the leverage, this would be, I think, a little bit of good leverage too. If it's going to be a low scoring game, playing both running backs in the same lineup, playing both Nick Chubb and Hunt, you probably you get obviously all the rushing up from the team as a whole, and probably maybe even all the scoring too potentially.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a viable strategy. On many showdowns, I'll make rules where I group out, especially positions like on the same team. You typically have like an early down back and a pass catching back.
Yeah.
I'll definitely make rules on those, like depending on which game script I'm building for. But with the Browns, they seem to run them both out there equally in either role. So I think it's totally fine to play them together. The Browns run a lot more than a typical NFL team, so there's definitely plenty of volume for both of them to get there.
So I want to bring something up. Are we sure that Landry does not have touchdown upside? I mean, we look at every other year in his career. I mean, this year was a little bit different. The Browns haven't been putting up points at all with Landry since Landry came back from injury. So the touchdown upside hasn't been there. Could just be entirely random chance. Like that's kind of my viewpoint on Landry, is it may end up suppressing his ownership because you don't have a ton of upside from him. But realistically, he was a guy that scored the second half of last season 7 touchdowns. With Odell not in this offense, like they just haven't scored recently. So don't pay attention to Odell or Landry not scoring, except for he did get a rushing touchdown. I think he does still have touchdown upside. I mean, in the end zone, having both Hunt and Chubb in there, like Landry, they might focus on them more, and Landry can easily get those short passes in the end zone. It just hasn't quite happened yet. Maybe it's just a new role. Maybe it's something different with him. But I think that he still might have touchdown upside. Am I just way off on that?
I don't think you're off on it. I mean, he can certainly score a touchdown. Part of the problem is that Baker Mayfield has just he's playing really poorly, most likely due to his injury. But there haven't been a lot of passing touchdowns to go around. But yeah, I definitely see your point there. Landry is very effective in the short passing game. So if they're down inside the 5, they could certainly run routes, scheme plays open for him. He doesn't seem to have the overtop ability of somebody like Peoples-Jones, which was kind of where I was going with that. But yeah, he can definitely catch a short touchdown. The way I was thinking about that particular scenario, and it's a theme that we've seen from several showdown slates here in the recent history, but I'm looking at these Browns tight ends.
I think that's probably the better move. I think you're spot on there.
Both Hooper and Njoku have had a good role in this offense. I mean, just big guys. So if I'm looking for short touchdown passes, I'm looking to the tight end position, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm never going to argue with tight ends on Showdown. It's never a bad strategy. Have we talked over DraftKings yet?
Yeah, we started there. There's just a little bit more to talk about. We can cover some FanDuel too if you want.
Yeah. Let's move on over to FanDuel and just go over a little bit. Any differences there that we might have that you really think we should look into?
There's pretty much straightforward. Like, you probably have to play Lamar Jackson at captain just because there's no ×2, there's no multiplier there as far as with the salary. So to me, you just play him at captain and just try to get different elsewhere in your lineup. I reckon, like, if you don't think the game is going to be low scoring, I probably if you think the game's going to be low scoring like Keith does and myself a little bit, then probably just honestly play Lamar Jackson with like both running backs, in my opinion, from the opposite side, and maybe running back with maybe one of his pass catchers, or even running back with the free. Do get weird and different overall in the lineup. And like you said, the tight ends. Tight ends are probably going to be the lowest on the slate, especially the Njoku. We have, especially the Cleveland ones that you got, like you said, Njoku and Hooper. They're coming in sub 15% from what we have here on FanDuel. So I love that call. I think that's a great call to definitely get them in there for sure. Because if they score a touchdown, and FanDuel's more touchdown dependent of a site and slate for football, I think that they can easily change the slate and break it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. Keith, anything else to add here?
No, Andre covered it very well. I mean, like Lamar, we have projecting almost 7 points above Baker Mayfield, who's like the next closest guy. So when you don't have to pay time and a half on his salary for that, it's really difficult to try to get different at the MVP spot. So just to add on to Andre's point there, definitely need to do some weird things. I think the running back stack is in play on FanDuel just as much, if not more, as well. Andre alluded to it a little bit also, but you're touchdown hunting, and we've seen multiple times where Chubb and Hunt score in the same game. I think the Baltimore side of that will be done. It'll be done even less. Mm-hmm. So if you do a Freeman Murray type of build, I think that's going to be even more unique than stacking the Browns running backs.
And we've seen that happen too a couple of weeks out of the season.
Yeah, 3 of them scored in one of the weeks. I know because I had Lamar in cash that week, and it was super tilted.
Yep.
So gosh, like, yeah, I remember that. That was such a nightmare. Take a look at Slate IQ.
Yeah, let's dig in.
Yeah. All right. So the most interesting thing, this is more on. This is obviously geared towards DraftKings, not FanDuel. Looking at the projected captain usage, Lamar's eating up 41%, and the captain optimal has in there at 35%, which I think definitely is interesting. I mean, most people throw Lamar in. It's just like, oh, it's always worked. But obviously, there's been at least one time this season, I know on Monday Night Football, I think going up against the Colts, where he went nuts. I don't even think he was the top projected captain because of Marquise Brown, because of Mark Andrews, both going off for massive games. And it shows Bateman, Mayfield, Landry, Peoples-Jones, Tucker as the biggest leverage spots for the captain spot here. So start off with you, Dre. What are your thoughts on that?
I like it. I think I alluded to it earlier, like from me reading this article earlier and taking it in, it's something that I'm going to use to my advantage. I'm going to have a few lines with Lamar and captain because obviously Lamar can easily be the highest scoring person on the slate and break the slate even. But I like getting to the leverage, especially the Bateman side of it, as I mentioned before. With everyone knowing that Hollywood Brown is coming back, I think he's going to be overowned. So me getting a Bateman and Mark Andrews, I think those are my 2 favorite guys to try to get to. More so, like I said, Bateman to leverage the field.
Yeah, no, I really like Bateman tonight. I think that he's a great play. I mean, with so many people going with, I mean, the weird thing is we have Hollywood projected for less captain ownership than Bateman at the moment here, which is interesting. All right, so the biggest flex spots, I mean, obviously, Lamar, you pretty much need in the flex. I mean, that's what we're showing, like, his flex ownership is 53%. The optimal is 55%. Like, you're not getting a ton of leverage here. The interesting one is Justin Tucker. I'm sure you guys already went over kickers a little bit, but Tucker is just on a whole different level than every other kicker in the league. It seems like has 60-yard field goal possibility. He can hit those 50-yarders. Like, he's very, very good. This doesn't project to be that high scoring game. Currently 47 total. What do you guys think about the kicker and flex and the leverage off of Tucker? And Baker Mayfield has big leverage because I think so many people want to go with the running back. I don't know if that's just because of historical data or if it really incorporates that much of Cleveland's historical data. But I think it is interesting, especially with Hunt coming back, Baker being more involved in the receiving game or the more involved in the passing game because Hunt is such a big receiving option.
Yeah, as far as Tucker goes, I mean, he's as elite as kickers get. So I'm definitely working him in as a value play. I think he makes a lot of sense. I talked about the Browns tight end. He's right in that same price range with them. So, I mean, Tucker's going to outscore either of the tight ends most likely, unless they catch a touchdown. So I like using Tucker with the running backs in lineups that I'm fading the tight ends in. I think he makes sense as the value option in that type of build. Baker Mayfield was one of the things I noticed too. And you do worry about his performance this year. I mean, I'm looking here at his logs. He hasn't thrown for 250 yards since over 250 yards since October 10th. So we know he's dealing with that shoulder injury. There was the Odell Beckham drama. I don't know. Hopefully they've got some stuff sorted out. Even last week, I think it was the Lions. They just looked awful. But this is a team with big aspirations. I mean, they're hoping to be Super Bowl bound. So I've got to think here that they're going to get it figured out. I'm gonna run quite a bit of Baker out there and trust the passing game. With Hunt back in there, you mentioned that adds a skilled pass catcher. I think he helps the efficiency of the passing game overall. I really like the price on Peoples-Jones, and then I'm mixing in tight ends too. So if I think that all of those guys are going to get there, I want to have some Baker with those pass catching options too. So I'm definitely overweight on Baker.
All right, what about you, Drake?
I'm gonna definitely for sure I'm gonna be overweight on Tucker. More for sure, definitely. In this spot, I'm gonna probably try to pair him whenever I have Lamar Jackson in a lineup, because if Lamar scores, whether it's a passing touchdown or rushing touchdown, with the receiver field goals and then also just driving the ball down the field, the Ravens be able to move effectively down the field. So I can see Tucker being one of the highest scoring players in there. So I try to give him a majority of my lines if I possibly can. I'm gonna have definitely some Baker, but I'm gonna also try to maybe fade him a little bit more so, and then go like the route of what Keith was talking about with playing some of the tight ends. So like I know we have like a 3-3, so it's one of the more leveraging stacks. So I might even run like both running backs and run a tight end out there to try to leverage the field, because if Baker just throws one touchdown but still doesn't put up a crazy score, and all the work still comes from the running backs, I like using that to my advantage as a little bit of leverage. But Baker's not a bad play at all. It's just that I just feel like there's a lot of the guys that can definitely get above him and what he has done over the past month or so.
Yeah. Like we were saying, we got some questions in chat, but not a ton of them. Just looking for anything else. And no, I did not take an edible. No, I'm not stoned. I'm guessing it's my hair that made them think that, because it's real throwed out. But no, I'm not a huge marijuana guy. I'm just not a huge fan of it. But looking at roster construction right now, looks like the most leverage, everything's negative leverage outside of 2-4 a little bit. But the 3-3 has by far the most amount of it's a 39.2% leverage rate. Are you guys with that, kind of doing a full game stack with just 3 on both sides?
Yeah,
or game stack?
When you dipped out a little bit, Dre and I were talking about how we thought it was going to be a close, low-scoring game, and I think the 3-3 is the thing that makes the most sense. So that leverage makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, makes sense with the 3-point spread. All right, let's guys go ahead and start dropping your question in there. This game starts at 6:20, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So we'll have plenty of time for questions. Any questions? Go ahead. QQ, which tight end we playing at captain tonight? I'll let you answer that, Keith.
I'm playing 3 very heavily. Andrews is my highest on captain. I've got a ton of him in the flex as well, and I want Hooper and Njoku also. I slightly lean to Njoku just because he has a little bit bigger play upside, a little bit bigger body. I think he's the guy I've got for a touchdown tonight. So Njoku is my most leveraged play on the slate. Andrews is my highest on captain. I'm playing all of the tight ends very heavily. I think you can mix in Harrison Bryant and Nick Boyle if you want to get, I mean, if you're in the millie or whatever in a very deep field, I think it's perfectly fine to go that deep with it.
Yeah. Question for me. If I have 4 lineups, FanDuel GPP, large field, best contrarian MVP. I don't know if you want to go contrarian, but my guess would be Bateman probably. Don't want to go contrarian over on FanDuel specifically. I think you just stick with Lamar and you're kind of just good there. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't see much of a reason to go with anyone else. The only other captain I would really think about is probably Chubb or Hunt on the other side, considering they can go off for a massive game, because anyone on the Ravens side most likely is going to get outscored by Lamar if they end up going off. And then it's just, is it going to be a huge game for Chubb or Hunt, which is always a possibility with those two. Dre, any thoughts on Marquise Brown at captain?
I mean, you can use him. I like him as captain, but I'm gonna be lower on him just because I'm trying to get some leverage on the field. So I think he's gonna come in higher than what we have projected him. Since he is rolled in and he's a popular figure, a popular player that people are gonna know and go to a lot more.
Yeah. Okay. Next question, Keith. Do you think building a Browns 5-1 is okay in GPP with no Lamar?
I mean, it's viable. Anything can happen, and I mean, we've seen over the past couple of weeks of NFL, like crazy things happen all the time. That is not how I'm building my lineups. I think it's a low-scoring game that goes under the total. There's just going to be a lot of rushing attempts, which will help move the clock along faster, keeps the point total down. I don't see a 5-1 stack being the way to build, but if you have different feelings on how the game flow goes, I mean, it's certainly in play. I will note that having 5-1 without Lamar is difficult because he's going to be dropping back quite a ton. If the Browns have 5 guys getting there, that means they're playing from ahead, and you're going to have Lamar in a trailing game script. He's going to throw the ball a ton, and we've seen him take off and run all game long, no matter the score. So it's difficult to do it without Lamar, especially.
Okay, Dre, is Bateman okay at captain? I think we're all in agreement that was yes, right?
Yes, one of my favorite captains to go with.
Okay, thoughts on Jamarcus Bradley, Keith?
Jamarcus Bradley is not somebody that's really on my radar. Third wide receiver for the Browns, I guess, is going to be his role.
2 catches last week on 2 targets, but
yeah, Peoples-Jones was out though. With him coming back, I think Peoples-Jones has a nice role. He was carving out a nice role even when Odell was there, so he can certainly get it done. I'd rather play the Browns tight ends, I think, but I mean, we're searching for value. It's showdown. It's viable in large field for sure, but not somebody I'm using a ton of.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. I forgot which team he played for when I asked that question. So I was happy to have you do it. Dre, is this the defense captain slate?
I thought about that, honestly. I mean, it can be, especially but the only defense I would run in the captain would be the Ravens. So I think it can be for sure. I think it's 30% happening, but not
Yeah, I think about it possibly being a defensive captain slate every single showdown slate, and then I realize just don't do it. Just no. It's only when it's like absolutely. There's been very few times where I'm like, yeah, this is viable. Like when it's the Jets versus the Washington football team, I'm like, you know what? Or was it the Giants versus the Washington? Whenever that one was, I'm like, I thought about that one. I don't think I ended up going with it more than I think I had one just for funsies. But yeah, it's always nice to see yourself at the top of the leaderboard at the beginning. Like that's really why I do it. Like tied for first for the first few seconds. Maybe you're solo shipping it for a short period of time. But yeah, most likely no. All right. Keith, Watkins a decent captain in GPPs?
I'm really worried about his role with Brown and Bateman both there. I believe this is the first time all three of them have been on the field because Bateman's only played a couple of weeks. And then Brown was out for a while. Watkins missed some time too. So I'm trying to look right now if we've had all three of them on the field. But
I think they were on the field like one game. I think it was actually the game with the Colts. Because I was at that game actually. Yeah, because then Watkins got hurt.
Oh, nice little humble brag there.
And then Watkins got hurt, and then Bateman had to step up a little bit.
Yeah, and then Brown got hurt. Yeah.
I mean, he's the fourth receiving option, fifth if you count Freeman out of the backfield. So that I would build my ownership in my script accordingly to that. I mean, he'd be the fifth one I got to.
All right, Dre, Browns D or Bradley on DK. I think those are some interesting options for your last piece.
Give me Browns defense.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna go with. Keith Boyle, $200 going to play to make room for higher plays. I don't know if this was a question. Someone asked me. I'll answer this first. Someone asked me what my best bet tonight is. Baker over 28.5 passing attempts. I think it's just a little bit too low. It's just a low number. So I think that he ends up hitting the over. And there's a lot of different game scripts where you can still end up hitting the over, even if they're ahead. I know they love to run the ball, but with Hunt in there, he now has another receiving option, which he was out without People Jones the other week. He's been without Hunt's week. OBJ is no longer there. So I think he's going to throw the ball a little bit more. And I mean, 28.5 is not a high number here. So yeah, over 28.5 passing attempts is my answer. But yeah, Keith Boyle, $200 to make room for higher plays. Any interest in that?
Yeah, I like that as a dart throw. He's primarily a blocker, but I mean, he's been hurt all year. He played last week, only had one target. I could see him getting a little bit more involved here. I mean, it's a pure punt play. So anything, I mean, if he catches a touchdown, then that's exactly what you're looking for. All
right, Dre, any thoughts on Murray?
I like Murray. I like getting some and using as a little bit of leverage in my lineup today. I like even going to him as an off the board, like 1,000 chance of captain.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance that Freeman fumbles the ball, or there's like, this seems Murray's just run the ball well. I mean, who knows? It's not like Freeman is a fantastic running back. And Murray still got 10 rushing attempts, 2 targets last week. So yeah, don't mind it. Keith, what do you think of D'Ernest Johnson? Is he a good play at 2,200?
I don't think there's room in the backfield for him. I know he played really well in Hunt's absence, but I mean, Chubb and Hunt are both very talented backs. I think they're going to have them both very much involved. I don't see D'Ernest working in much.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if you're playing that, you're just assuming that Chubb or Hunt are going to get injured again for some reason. Like that's the only way that Johnson ends up becoming viable, and realistically he's probably not that viable unless both those guys somehow get into the game, which is very unlikely. Dre, best play under $600.
Give me 1 second. Under $600? Jesus, I don't even have anyone.
Yes.
I don't even have anyone under $600, honestly. But if I had to, probably going to be Harrison Bryant. That's the only guy. Oh, under 600, that's 1K. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Probably Boyle.
Yeah, Nick Boyle, we just talked about. I think he's most viable.
Yeah, I'm about to say Nick Boyle, maybe even Tyson Williams if they give him some work, if he's active. Maybe, but that's really it.
Yeah, I mean, not really something, not something. I mean, it's showdown. Let's be honest. Anything can happen. The most ridiculous plays sometimes end up with hitting it. But I mean, if you're going to go that low in price, I mean, probably go a little bit higher for Harrison Bryant or Jamarcus Bradley. Like, you're not $600 and under. Like, again, if you want to make this specific lineup work, it's fine. And honestly, like, certain lineups can end up winning with 0 points from a guy, but I don't know. That's just my thoughts. And we're pretty much caught up on questions. Anything else that we should be going through here on things? Keith?
I think we covered it. Trying to think if there's I think we touched on pretty much anybody that's viable here. Yeah, I'm not even seeing any, like the $200 wide receivers. I'm not interested in any of them. Like Natson's purely a special teams guy. Tylan Wallace has been active for a couple of weeks and hasn't seen the field. So just looking at some of those other punts, I mean, Boyle is really the only one under 1,000 I would even consider touching.
Okay, I'm just gonna start asking guys questions because why not? We have time. Chubb or Hunt, who do you like better?
So
I like the Hunt side of that just because he's cheaper and I think he has just as good of a chance to score.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more on the Hunt side. Someone asked best captain for Lakers and Pistons. I'm going Cade Cunningham.
I like that call. That's where I'm at too.
Yeah, Dre.
I don't play Captain Showdown basketball. So.
Yeah, I generally don't either. I have a soft spot for Cade Cunningham, even though he just loses me boatloads of money on a weekly basis. I mean, I've got the over of 15.5 points. Apparently, I promised myself I wouldn't bet that. Apparently I did. I just checked. But I mean, it's against the Lakers. I have to think that he's going to somehow show up. Fast-paced game, like Lakers really aren't that great. I think they might end up making this game stay close, or they could blow them out. I don't know. But I also have the over of like 26.5 points, assist, rebounds. What was it sitting at? Might as well 27.5. Bet the over on those. I'm pissed off by the Grizzlies game. I had Bane 20 plus points and 25 plus points, and I had Jackson parlayed double and Grizzlies to win. The blowout, he got 9 rebounds in like 20 minutes. And and Bane like had 15 5 minutes into the second quarter and only ended up with 18. Just one more shot. That's an extra G for me. I'm not happy. I'm not. This was not a good day for me.
Yeah, that one's entirely on the Kings. The Grizzlies guys were doing work, too much work apparently.
Yeah, no, my thought process I think was great. Like,
yeah, definitely agree.
I nailed that. Like he hit the over on threes. He hit the over on points in the first half. Like betting if it would have stayed close, both of those bets would have just absolutely crushed. One was at like a plus 1,100. The other one was at plus 600. So even the same game parlay that we made earlier, if the game would have stayed close, I mean, Jackson ended up with 9 rebounds and 18 points. I think the same game parlay we put together, we were 2 points for both of those guys and 1 rebound away. So it was looking pretty good. Okay, well, we'll end it with this non-union football related. LBJ or Stewart, who's getting a technical foul tonight?
Stewart.
Yep, I'm on that. Keith?
I'm going to say neither. They play nice with each other tonight.
I think that LeBron can hold his cool pretty well. I do not think Stewart can. I mean, that's just strictly based off of him being a young buck and you know exactly what happened, trying to literally like going after him twice. Like I get that anger, but going into the tunnel and then running around for the other door, that just shows me like, oh, okay, you really can't keep your cool. Like while you're on the court, I understand it, but I would not be. Obviously, someone asked me where you can trail my bets at scoresandodds.com. Go sign up. I don't remember if there's a Black Friday deal still. I mean, you can check it out. Go to scoresandodds.com/Grant Neefer. Maybe I get a little kickback. But yeah, go check it out. Yep, there it is. Devin just dropped into chat. Go ahead and check that out. But guys, thanks for seeing me again. Dre for the third time today. Keith for the second. Good luck on your contest tonight. We're out of here. See you, kids.